Well, welcome back. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy with me just a short while ago, confirming that he is expecting to consider an impeachment inquiry of President Biden when Congress returns in mid-September over allegations of bribery and influence peddling, as the calls get louder to oust Special Counsel David Weiss from the Hunter Biden investigation after his efforts to give Hunter immunity from all future charges. Now we follow the money trail with someone who did just that while he was a U.S. prosecutor during the 1996 investigation into whether Communist China was helping to fund a Clinton presidential run, and whether the CCP will try to influence the election here in America again in 2024. Joining me right now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman, Congressman Michael McCaul. Great to see you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for having me, Maria.
Thank you so much. Walk us back, put your prosecutor hat back on that you wore in the 1990s. What did you do during that investigation?
I was the lead prosecutor on the Johnny Chung case. Johnny Chung cooperated with us, led us to the director of Chinese intelligence and China Aerospace, putting money in his Hong Kong bank account to then transfer to the DNC and to President Clinton's campaign. I was a prosecutor that proved that this nexus actually was real, that we had a foreign adversary trying to influence our election. And it was astounding. I was a little bit younger, back then, but I learned from that, follow the money. And what I see today with the Hunter Biden, with these shell corporations and tens of millions of dollars coming in, we saw the same thing back then. A lot of money through shell corporations. This is the way that China operates. It's their MO. To make things worse, at the end of the day, when the case was over, my FBI agent, J.J. Smith, was indicted for espionage for sleeping with a Chinese spy.
There you go.
An FBI asset he cultivated for 10 years, and she was reporting back to Beijing. It shows you how clever and how intent the Chinese are to infiltrate.
And we saw a similar situation with Eric Swalwell, didn't we? He was in a relationship with what we learned later to be a Chinese spy, a woman?
It's what they do.
So what do you think about this upcoming election? Do you worry that the CCP wants to keep Joe Biden in the White House and will do anything to do so, given his soft on China policy?
Well, I think compared to President Trump, they look at Biden as a weaker president, if not the weakest, and that his China policy is not going to be aggressive. It's going to be a détente, conciliatory. And so I, anticipate that there probably is money flowing into the United States to various candidates, but potentially to help President Biden get reelected.
Well, do you think that's why the Democrats are always talking about Russia, 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 and they don't focus on the behavior out of Communist China? Isn't this an issue that we would all agree on?
It should be. And I think, there are a lot of Democrats that agree China's the greatest threat. But back then, why were they doing this, right? They wanted to get into the WTO. They wanted aerospace technology. They wanted, the satellite technology. And Clinton was able to do that. He was very pro-Taiwan in the beginning until China got to him through this money and the donors, and he changed his policy. That's what I think is important to look as we fast forward today. What has happened with all this money coming to Hunter Biden? Did it have influence on foreign policy decisions by the vice president, now president of the United States?
Well, can you do anything about this at this point? If you're suspecting that CCP money could be coming into a U.S. election to keep Biden in the White House, what are you going to do to stop it?
We have a Justice Department, and I was aggressive. It was not political back then. I worry that it's been politicized. And they have to look at this. That plea agreement, I have never witnessed a plea agreement being overturned by a federal judge. And the reason why she did it was because it gave blanket immunity. And she saw, thanks to Jason Smith, the chairman of Ways and Means, an amicus brief about all of the leads that were turned down. The investigator was told not to pursue leads that went to the family and directly to the president. That's concerning to me. It's concerning to the federal judge. That's why she threw the plea agreement out.
Unbelievable. Many people feel that our adversaries got the go-ahead to ramp up their aggression after the Afghanistan botched withdrawal. You've got Gold Star families coming in to your committee to testify. Tell us what you'd like to hear from these Gold Star parents after the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And do you agree with that ramped up our adversaries?
No, absolutely. You look at foreign policy, that was the beginning of the end. We started to project weakness when Afghanistan fell. That ugly surrender to the Taliban, that's what it was, a surrender. But the Gold Star families, 13 servicemen and women killed by a suicide bomber. I'll be meeting with them on the anniversary of Abbey-gate to hear from them, but also to tell them what we are doing from an investigation standpoint. We'll have the sniper who had the suicide bomber in his sights asked for permission to engage and was denied that permission. In addition, there was a call for an airstrike against ISIS-K, which, by the way, came out of Bagram when that prisoner was released, denied access to engage in the airstrike. What's so sad for these parents is it could have been prevented, and their child is dead now.
Unbelievable. This is so sad.
But since that time, it's so important to say, we saw satellite imagery after Afghanistan, the Russian Federation moving in, Chairman Xi, Beijing, meeting with Putin, unholy alliance, threat to Europe, threat to the Pacific.
So you saw it all happening right after
Real
the
time.
withdrawal. Unbelievable. Mr. Chairman, it's good to have you this morning.
Maria, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman, Congressman Michael McCaul. Thank you.